Welcome to Enchanted Astrology with Ariel Smith. This is the Quantum Zodiac Series, and today we are diving into the planet Venus. Everybody loves Venus, but today we're going to go beyond the initial surface interpretations of love, beauty, and relationships, and we're going to explore Venus as one of the fundamental principles of reality, and that is the principle of electromagnetism. So electromagnetism is one of the fundamental forces of nature, right? It governs how light behaves, how atoms bond together, how we perceive the world, how electricity flows, how magnets attract and repel each other. It is the force responsible for nearly everything that we experience within the visible world. And central to the principle of electromagnetism is the electromagnetic spectrum. And that spectrum includes all the frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. So everything from low frequency radio waves all the way up to high frequency gamma rays. And in between we have everything from microwaves to infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, and everything in between. So the visible spectrum is what we know as the colors of the rainbow, just a tiny portion of the greater full spectrum. And we know that different materials absorb certain frequencies and they reflect others. So when we think of the visible spectrum, when you see the color red, it's because the object is reflecting red light and absorbing the other visible frequencies. So you are literally seeing what is not being integrated by that object. You are seeing what is being reflected back, kind of like seeing the negative. So the same principle applies across the entire spectrum, right? Radar works because the radio waves that are transmitted outward are reflected back when they encounter an object. So that reflection reveals that there's an object there. That reflection is what you see on the radar. So our visible world is actually made up of reflections. What we see is what is not being absorbed. Now, if we bring this into the spiritual realm, if what we see physically is what is being reflected rather than absorbed, then what shows up in our visible life is essentially what we are not yet integrating. And Venus governs harmony, she governs love, and love is actually unconditional acceptance. Love does not reject, it does not withhold, it does not divide. Love can only integrate. It is unconditional acceptance. And if something is reflected, it is because we have not integrated it. And if something is absorbed, it becomes part of us. And spiritually speaking, we are constantly encountering parts of ourselves through reflection, right? We see traits in others that trigger us or attract us or fascinate or irritate us or maybe inspire us. These are reflections. And Venus works with those reflections so that we can see and learn about them in order to integrate them. And the more we integrate the more harmonious we become as a being, right? The less we feel divided within ourselves. And harmony is what happens when these previously divided frequencies begin to start integrating and resonating together. Now, Venus rules two signs, Taurus and Libra. And in Taurus, Venus expresses through the material, the physical, and the visible world. So if the visible world is what is being reflected, then Taurus is the realm where we can see all of these reflections in the physical. I often talk about Taurus governing magic, and by magic I mean the process of assigning qualities or abilities to something outside of yourself that you have not yet integrated within yourself. So we project power onto something outward in the external. We project beauty outward into the external, right? We project value outward into the external. And we say, like, oh, that person is so talented, or that object is so valuable, or this experience externally will complete me. But what we are seeing is a reflection of what we have not yet absorbed. So Taurus gives us this mirror, and I love that the symbol for Venus actually looks like a handheld mirror, because when you think about it, we can't see our back without a mirror, right? We need that process of reflection in order to see something that is outside of our view. So if something is outside of our conscious awareness, we need it to show up externally so we can interact with it, observe it, and learn about it. So Taurus works through our physical senses, touch, taste, sight, smell, sound. And it's through these, it's going through this process of interacting with these reflections, experiencing them, slowing down and feeling them, learning about them. And this is also where we get the association of Taurus with stubbornness, because if you are denying something, you are reflecting it. If you are not integrating a certain frequency, it will keep appearing physically until you do. And in order to learn about it, it is a process of slowing down and interacting with it, interacting with the physical material world. So Taurus teaches through this physical experience that the qualities we see out there as being out there are actually a part of me. And when we realize that, we stop projecting and we increase our own internal harmony. Now, let's move to Venus ruling Libra, because Libra is a little bit different from the process of reflection. Libra acts more like a broadcast, right? So on the same electromagnetic spectrum, we have radio waves. And when we think of how a radio station works, a radio transmitter sends out a specific frequency, and that frequency fills the space around it, along with many other radio stations broadcasting their frequencies, all simultaneously, but only radios that are tuned to the same frequency will pick up that station clearly. And that is the process that we know of as the process of resonance, resonating with something, right? That resonation happens when two systems are vibrating essentially at the same frequency. So like attracts like vibrationally. And we are all constantly broadcasting, like biologically, always constantly broadcasting. Our heart generates a measurable electromagnetic field. And in fact, the heart's electromagnetic field is actually even stronger than that of the brain, and it extends beyond the physical body. And your emotional state influences this field. When we talk about tuning into your heart, it's not just like a poetic language. It is actually tuning into what you are broadcasting. And Libra governs the process of resonance, of attunement and balance, right? So relationships are formed because two beings are resonating at a compatible frequency. And you can be in the same room as dozens of people, but you will naturally attune to the ones that are a match for the frequency you are resonating on. You will click with someone and feel totally distant from others, right? So Libra is like scanning through the radio stations, and you don't consciously process every single. You will only tune into what is matching your frequency, just like a radio antenna or a receiver. And Libra governs that tuning process. And resonance can change. We can change that, because as you integrate more and more of your spectrum that you had been reflecting in Taurus, as you absorb more and more, your broadcasting frequency essentially changes, right? You tune to a different station, and different listeners are tuning into you. So spiritually, your absorption spectrum is what you are willing to accept within yourself. If you refuse to integrate something like anger, you might be constantly encountering angry people. If you deny your own power, you may attract dominating people, right? If you suppress your own beauty, you may idolize it in others and only see it in others. So the more you expand your absorption spectrum, the more you accept within yourself, the less reactive your world comes, the more harmonious, the more stable. Now, we know Libra is associated with relationships, and relationships are actually an amazing training ground for this process. Relationships are like a frequency laboratory, right? Because they show you where you are resonating, what you are projecting, what you are or aren't integrating. And this state of balance in Libra is not just a 50-50 split down the middle. It is actually more like a very dynamic process of adjusting each being in the relationship, adjusting their frequencies until they harmonize. So in relationships, you go through this process of tuning, adjusting, listening, responding. And if someone is constantly triggering you, they may be reflecting a frequency you are not integrating. And if someone feels effortless, you are likely already resonating together in the same harmonious state. So Libra teaches us to become conscious of this process and to refine it. And as we refine our inner state, we bring ourselves more and more into a state of harmony through this process. Our outer world becomes more harmonious as well. Now, Venus is widely associated with love, and if love is unconditional acceptance, then love is that process of widening your absorption spectrum. It is the willingness to integrate more and more of the electromagnetic fields into your being. So love does not reject, it will not exile or divide something, and Venus governs that process. So Venus is the force that literally binds atoms together. It is the force that allows light to be known. It is the force that allows you to perceive anything at all. And so working with Venus is working with integration. Somatic practices are also powerful for Venus work because we store experiences within the body, and we can intellectually understand integration, but sometimes until the nervous system can feel safe enough to absorb what was rejected, we continue rejecting it. So in yin yoga especially, we slow down and hold poses and give the body space to process these stored frequencies, stored emotions, stored tensions, and integration in this space becomes very physical. A physical process that can aid our understanding of it. So if you would like to work with Venus somatically, I offer a Venus Yin Yoga class on my website at enchantedAstrology.ca. I also have Taurus and Libra Yin Yoga classes available, so you can explore all three expressions of Venus and really feel the integration process within your own body. Now, thank you so much for being here with me today. And in our next episode of the Quantum Zodiac Series, we travel to Mercury.